So it's actually much worse than I thought. Yes, the track and trace people are out to make money on every plant that is grown in America, and they are shameless about promoting the idea that something that is not psychotropic is psychotropic. So, so the problem is much worse than I thought. Yes, Metric, the track and trace company, is behind this. Yes, they are the ones who are behind deciding that something that is non psychoactive should be classified as psychoactive, even against science, even against the natural laws of nature. They're going to classify it that so that they can tax it and they can put a track and trace system on it. And this is, if they can take non psychoactive cannabis, they can take hemp and just say it's psychoactive, then they could take our reishi mushrooms and our lion's mane and our dandelions, and that's where I think they're headed. But the reason why I say the problem is worse than that is because it's a compounded problem, and I didn't know this until I was fortunate enough to meet with some people yesterday who are actually on the committee at the Capitol to try to make this emergency regulation done behind closed doors. They want to make it official. From their standpoint, they're not doing that, of course. They believe they're fixing problems, but they're not really. And anyway, as I unpeel the layers of what's going on, I realize that it's California's public health department that's corrupt. The corruption is right there in our California public health department. And if you look at their history, we had to force them through a citizens ballot initiative to recognize that cannabis is medicine and to license it. And they resisted everything. They resisted calling it cannabis at the beginning. They called it marijuana laws. They resisted giving the licenses, looking for any reason to withhold a license for anyone. Everyone in the public health department comes from like throwback water from Nixon era because they fought this. They fought this. They fought this. Now I learn, I learn that it took them. We did the Citizens Ballot Initiative in 2016 that basically forced them to have to give licenses, and it took them to like 2020 to give their first licenses, and their first licenses went to dispensaries for THC for stony weed, and it took them to like 2023 to be doing hemp licenses. And when they started doing hemp licenses, I thought for sure that was the green light that we could sell our products in dispensaries. But what I learned now is that the public health department made it illegal for CBD products to be sold in dispensaries all these years. So essentially, what I'm telling you is the public health department created this problem, they created a disaster, and now they are coming in like Trump with the solutions. They're going to fix it. They broke it, and now they're going to fix it. And they're going to fix it in a very brutal, I'm going to get even with this industry. They never should have made us do this. They never should have made us give licenses. And the best way they can do that is by quickly taking the 1,000 licenses that they have to manage now out of the 3,000 they used to have to manage. Their program isn't going fast enough. They want 10 licenses. And they're okay if that's 10 rich men or 10 pharmaceutical companies. That's perfectly okay with them. And that is exactly what is going on here. I'm very disturbed that for 10 years they've blocked CBD from being sold in dispensaries, and now overnight they're saying it can only be sold in dispensaries. So if this is not punitive, what is? This sounds like some very angry people wielding their power in a very horrible way for small farmers and for a free and open and fair hemp industry. There will be no chance for your children or grandchildren ever to grow or farm or be in the hemp industry. They just won't. They're closing the industry, and they're doing it in a vindictive way. And if you look at who did these orders behind closed doors in October, Thomas Aragon, Dr. Thomas Aragon, former head of the California Public Health Department. And then he retired. He did his buddies a fat one, and he retired. Now he's a professor at Berkeley teaching about how to do shitty shit with your government power. And then we have Bill Jones, his successor, who is behind closed doors with Newsom when they made this shitty bill. And he is happily running the California Public Health Department right now. And then we have Newsom. Why did Newsom do this? What is his allegiance to a small oligarchy operating the entire cannabis and hemp industry? What is his allegiance to anti-science that he would go against the UN, Israel, Canada, everybody who's treated this respectfully with their scientists and thrown government money at studying it is going the other way. Instead of 0.3% THC, they're going to 1% because they know absolutely that you can't get high unless you have 3 to 4%. And what's happened here is a lot of gaslighting. You will hear the public health department say, but they're selling soda with synthetic cannabis in it to our kids. Yeah, that's against the rules. Shut them down. They're selling vape pens to minors. Yep, against the rules. Shut them down. We already have laws that cover all of this. There is no reason for this big swoop. The only reason for this big swoop is if Dr. Thomas Aragon, Bill Jones, and Governor Newsom personally are benefiting from it.